Hello everyone and welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about how old the average comic book collector is. This is a question that's really kind of interested me, specifically with how much money I have spent on comics and whether or not people in the future people are actually going to care or not. Well, my YouTube videos have kind of analytics, like these representations, these graphs of who is watching my videos. Now, obviously this isn't a complete representation of the entire comic book community, but it is a pretty significant snapshot of who is interested in this kind of content and who cares about comics. Specifically, my biggest video, which is sitting at nearly 175,000 views, and this breakdown of the age demographics of the amount of viewers and what age group they put themselves in when they made their account. This is crazy. So from 13 to 17 years old, there is no one watching this video. Let me just remind you, this video has nearly 2 million impressions, okay? Now, there are billions of people on YouTube, but for the idea that there is no child accounts being used to view this video is insane. Now, the next telling tale is 18 to 24-year-olds, 3.1% of the viewers. It's basically insignificant. 25 to 34, 12.5%. 35 to 44, 22.8%. 45 to 54, 37.6%, over a third. 55 to 64 years, 19.2%. And 65 years plus, 4.8%. There are more 65-year-olds than 18 to 24-year-olds watching this video. Now, the video is titled Slabs, Graded Comic Books. No one's buying them. Nobody wants them. Now, this is a video kind of targeted at the collecting community, the comic book collector, the graded comic collector, the collector that's buying comics. And this proof is in the pudding here. I think that the average age of a comic book collector in 2024 is somewhere between 45 and 50 years old. So what that would mean is the individuals that are now collecting comic books or still doing it were born in the early to mid 70s and were likely children or teens, young teens in the early 90s, specifically like 90, 91, 92, with the comic book boom. I think those are the people that are still collecting, they're still watching comic book content, they're still invested in the space. That's who's watching it. Now, if you look at this distribution, it is almost like a perfect bell curve. Now, obviously, the age group of 35 to 45 is a little bit higher than the age group of 55 to 65, but it is a near like bell curve. And a bell curve is basically a representation of, peaking at the top. That kind of gives us an idea of what that average is. Before I go on with this, I want to read one of the comments that an individual left on that video, and I think this is a perfect encapsulation of what is happening. So this gentleman says, in my opinion, the digital age has killed or killing a lot of industries. I've foreseen this now for a while in regards to collecting as a whole. When I was younger, he's 48 now, collecting older things like comics, toys, figures from the past generations was still a lot of us wanted to do. Like finding an issue with Spider-Man 1 or finding an old school figure like G.I. Joe's, especially since it was older generations' things. Now the younger generations are not into collecting at all. Everything is in the cloud, like reading, games, entertainment, even things like Fortnite skins. Also the concept of minimalism and Marie Kondo has ingrained in people's mentality now, including older generations. Most people are getting rid of their collections and themselves, so all we end up with is a lot of supply, but not enough younger generations interested in these items to create a demand like it was in the 80s and 90s. It's only going to get worse as Gen X gets older. More and more millennials, Gen Zs, and after won't value any of the old stuff. I have a collection of comics from my youth that I still hold on to, but I don't know how long until I have to get rid of them, especially as I downsize with how the economy is. I value them because of my own nostalgia, but as soon as I'm gone, I'm sure my boys will just get rid of them at Goodwill since no one will buy them at that point. Sorry for the pessimistic attitude. You can just see how malls are now mostly abandoned to see where things are heading. He touches on a couple of topics here that I hadn't considered. Like, I had already realized that the younger generation wasn't interested in physical collecting, but I hadn't really realized what the motive was for that. And the more and more I thought about it, he nailed it. It's this idea of minimalism, the idea of, less things in your life, less clutter, bringing you happiness, joy, fulfillment. There is this huge wave of those type of videos, specifically from Asian creators who they don't have anything like in their apartments or their living spaces. It's it's the bare necessities like a bed, a dresser. Not even a dresser. Like they only have like 4 or 5 articles of clothing, and the articles of clothing they do have, they respect it, like it's like folded nice and neatly and taken care of. It's like this idea that the less stuff you have, the less clouded your mind is, the less you have to have burdened. Well, I think there's 2 sides to that. I agree that the more stuff you have, the more the comics you have, the more collectibles you have, there is a kind of a sense of a burden, a weight of it. But there's also this idea that there's this growing force that wants you to have nothing. You will have nothing and you will be happy about it. There was like this big summit where they talked about this idea of like using less. Like they want us to carpool. They want us to use less resources. It's very much a sense of you don't have anything and you will be happy. I'm not doing that. Like I would agree that I'm trying to downsize my comics. I don't need like long boxes and long boxes of comics. But at the same time, I mean, I like my things. I worked hard to get these things. I collected these things. Some of these things mean something to me. I'm not just going to throw it away because some guy in an empty apartment tells me that. I'm not doing that. I think this younger generation is so influenced by influencers like that, like these ideologies, this idea that all you really need is digital space, like this virtual world. That's all that matters. And man, I am not here for that. That is not what I'm here for. So it makes sense that when I showed you the graph, when I showed you the breakdown, most of you watching this video now, and most of you that watch comic book videos, the ones you've watched before, I mean, you're there. You're like in that 45 to 55 age group. Where does that put in somebody like me? I'm 34 years old. I'm in that group behind the largest group. And I feel like that is kind of, I feel like I'm more of a dying breed as opposed to the 45 to 55 year olds that are, that is their mentality, the collection, the building up of a collection. That is where you guys are at. One thing, if you are a comic book YouTuber or a YouTuber in general that talks about collections or collectibles, please let me know what your demographics are. Like, leave a comment. Tell me, like, is this similar to what you're seeing? Because I would say everybody that's kind of in this space, like the collecting aspect of comics, not like the reading, the story-based stuff, like guys like Comics Explained and Comic Storian, like, I'm not sure if that demographic is the same as the demographic that's watching videos like mine or channels of our ilk, where it's like we are the collectors of the physical items. Like, those guys are making a different kind of content for like readers and people that are, they want to get like background on the stories so they can go watch the movies, or they want to get background on the stories because they want to talk about the characters or their backgrounds. Like, I feel like my channel and channels like mine are more focused around the physical collecting of the things, and the proof is in the pudding here. Like, the average age of the people watching this type of thing, the actual physical collecting of the items, is 45 to 55 and older. That's who that is. And the question is how long is this going to last? How long is the collectible world going to last? I mean, realistically, the way it's trending, 10, 15 years, maybe 20. And I think that's it. I think it's over. I think the generation before us is just indifferent. They don't care. Who's to say that might change? Generations are they fluctuate, things change, but I think it's over. So the question is where does that leave you? What does that make you want to do with your collection? Let me know. If at any point in time you like this video, give the thumbs up. And if you like this video, subscribe for more. Take care.